Hey everybody, welcome back to Guns and Gadgets, your source for Second Amendment news. Here it is, another Glock versus Sig video. Alright, so unless you're living under a rock or have no clue about guns in general, the Army was in a process to choose a new service weapon for the soldiers, and they ended up choosing the Sig 320, the Sig P320. Right away, as soon as it was announced, it was revealed that the civilian version of the weapon, if it dropped on the right angle, if it dropped on the back of the firearm, back of the slide, it would fire. Sig went right away at the problem and did a free upgrade program for those who sent the gun back. Supposedly, it was rendered drop safe again. But the bigger news comes from the DoD itself. The Department of Defense has released a study at the end of last month when they're saying this P320 has a lot of problems. Now, right away, I know everybody's going to be like, oh, you're a Glock fanboy, even though I own multiples of both makers, Glock, Sig, I own Smith & Wesson, I own anything my wallet can afford at the time. But this gun was chosen for the men and women fighting for us overseas in the Army. There are other platforms, other units, and other branches looking at the same weapon, but there are freaking problems because, whether you want to believe it or not, the process that the Army has was skirted. They went with the low bid. Let's call it like we see it. They went with the low bid. They chose the cheaper gun, and now, during their testing process, there's some serious issues. Now, this report was compiled by the DoD, like I said, and it's an annual report compiled by the Pentagon's Office of the Director of Operational Test and Evaluation. And according to this report, the Sig Sauer modular handgun system, which being named the M17 and M18, the full-size and the mid-size version of the military's P320, exhibited a number of issues throughout testing that took place between April and September of 2017. Primary of those problems was the drop test failure that we just spoke about. And again, Sig acted immediately to try to rectify that. However, more concerning is that the Pentagon's testing exposed some other issues. In two instances, the trigger assembly in the pistol splintered apart during use. An issue that had never come up before Sig implemented the changes to the trigger to help resolve the drop fire issue. So whatever Sig fixed to cause the gun to be drop safe again has affected the durability of the trigger system. And if you've been following along the whole time, the different weight in triggers was what they believed was causing the striker to go forward. The weight and the inertia of a heavier trigger would cause the gun to go off when dropped. So they changed it. Apparently it created another problem. Here's another bad one. The report also indicates that the pistol has a propensity for ejecting live rounds alongside spent shells. Although it clarifies that this does not usually result in a misfire or a malfunction. But when you're kicking out a spent casing, a live round goes with it. This could be a concern in a combat zone. Just saying. Further into the ammo issue, the gun seems to have no problems cycling the Army's brand new XM1153 special purpose cartridge, which is a hollow point. But it has some serious problem when loaded with the standard M1152 ball rounds that are most often used in service. Now, according to the military's own testing procedure, in order to qualify as a military service weapon, the pistol must be able to fire 2,000 rounds without stoppages at least 95% of the time. 95% of the time. A standard both the M17 and the M18 pistols were able to meet with the hollow points. But with the standard ammo that's already out there in the field, that everyone has, that rate dropped to 75%. And that's for the full-size platform. And the smaller one, the subcompact, that everybody's like, well, this is supposed to be a modular system. Glock didn't even do that. It dropped down to 60%. Now, while nothing's being released right now by the Army or Sig, we already know through the Army that they're working with Sig to fix these issues and fix them fast, because they ordered 300,000 of these guns. Now, as a taxpayer, I'm pissed, but that and $3.50 will get you a large coffee these days. I don't know. What do you guys think? Should they have gone with Glock? Should they have gone with another maker? Or should they have just gone with the cheap thing like they did? Now me and you, the taxpayers, we're paying for the guns. We paid for them to be fixed already with the drop test issue. Now we got to pay for these other issues to get fixed. I don't know. Send them back. Go with a different company. Even if you don't go with Glock, you want to go with Smith & Wesson, something made here in America. This is crazy. But hey, what do I know, right? I would appreciate it if you would help support this channel. You can do that by looking in my description. You can buy a shirt from my Spreadshirt store. You can go and onto Patreon and become a member there, or use, if you want to make a one-time donation, there's ways to do that too, via PayPal. But either way, please subscribe to this channel so that I can help keep you up to date with the most recent Second Amendment news around the country right here on Guns and Gadgets. Until we see each other again, be safe, stay vigilant, carry a weapon. Take care, everybody.